Do business, act business.
The digital world today has become one that every brand is becoming aware of the fact that consumers have become so informed to the point whereby it's going to determine the bottom line, especially in marketing activities. How companies and individuals are able to create their brands in a way that will help them stay above the market competition will determine their success. This is Business Matters. My name is Stephen Ipalabo Lawson. You're welcome. Brands and branding have become not just buzzword any longer, especially in the digital age. It has become something of much more strategy that will help you to either become successful or certainly put you in the categories of those who have failed businesses. The emotional aspect of brands and branding is one aspect that a lot of companies themselves are leveraging upon to stay above the competition. Let's have our business update.
Hey beautiful, your eyes, your smile are all begging me to take you home tonight. Now reading page 3. Experience unlimited superfast internet access from Entel 4G.
Entel. Live more.
As is our culture on Business Matters, we invite a distinguished professional or individual who help us to do justice to the topic of the day. And today we're looking at brands and brand management in digital age. And joining me in the studio is no other person than the publisher of the nation's leading brand marketing publication, the Industry newspaper. He also publishes the 789marketing.ng platform. Prior to that, he has been reported as a very distinguished journalist who has reported brands and marketing at M2 Magazine, City Mail newspaper, Independent newspaper, the Niche newspaper, Leadership, and Brandish magazine. With over 40 years of cognate experience in marketing reportage of journalistic exploit, this renowned journalist is also a media relations practitioner and has worked for so many brands, major brands as a matter of fact, in Nigeria through his organization, this December 29 Media. He is equally a frequent face on Nigerian broadcast industry as is featured in different TV programs all around the country. He's also won several awards, of which include Nigerian Media Merit Award, Advertisers Association of Nigeria Art Fan Award, Nigerian Media Night Out Award, National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria Awards, as well as many others. He's a convener of the Industry Summit and Awards and the Industry Brand Media Night. This individual is a man I'm very much so excited to introduce to us. I'm talking about no other person than Mr. Goddie Ofose. How are you, sir?
I'm fine.
It's good to have you on Business Matters.
Stephen, it's nice when you were reading my bio and I was smiling. I was asking myself, is that me?
That is you.
I couldn't put myself.
No, that is you. I mean, you've distinguished yourself over the years, especially in the area of brand reportage and, of course, brand PR, if you want me to use that word. Yes. And I know that we're looking at brands and brand management in a digital age. Now, you and I realized that 2020 we had the COVID. What did you think COVID actually helped in helping us drive brands' concern, especially with the post-COVID era, where everybody seems to have embraced the digital platform as a way of communicating with their different audience and as well as customers?
Thank you very much, Stevens. I think the pandemic actually opened our minds to a lot of opportunities, okay? I could picture when I joined this industry in about early 2000, and I asked myself, if we had pandemic at that time, what would have happened? So if the life would have shut down, the brands would have shut down, every facet of our lives would have completely shut down. But, you know, since we are in a digital age, business was still, the top management were still conducting their businesses. The brands were engaging people, now in a very, very, very unfamiliar manner, okay? What we considered could not happen pre-internet era, pre-internet era, yes. We saw it happening. We begin to see brand management activation agencies trying to engage people. You know that brand management and activation agencies actually engage people physically.
Physically, yeah, face to face.
Yes, gather people,
True.
Go to where people are, shopping malls, go to stadium, create an event where people could come, share experience, and they also, extract value from there. So, but an agency began to think, innovate, and brands, you begin to see brands engaging people, and the attention on the internet become very, very captured, okay? Because people were not going out, there were no other physical engagement.
True.
So the only thing you could do was to glue to your phone, all right, get information. At the end of the day, the brands begin to, spend far less and get bigger value.
No, but that's a major concern because
Yes.
we know that a lot of marketing budgets,
Yes.
as a matter of fact, obviously benefit industries like our own industry, the
yes.
media industry,
Yes.
the reportage industry, as well as the PR industry.
Yes.
But with the onslaught, so to speak, of the digital innovation and the disruptions that has happened in our spaces, we realize that the marketing budget itself perhaps might have some kind of negative impact for media outfits, for example, for PR concerns, for example, because a lot of these brands now have owned media through which they can create their own content and then engage their clients. But don't you see it as a downside, especially with the fact that traditional media is still very important in helping to shape people's opinion, perceptions, as well as acceptability about brands?
Well, I don't see it like that, and I think
Okay.
I think the marketing budget is going to scale up a little bit.
Okay.
Because if you talk about, it's going to impact. You know that every traditional media also have an online presence, even
Okay.
a digital presence. So
Okay.
if, for instance, we are talking with NTA has huge following on the internet. In fact, bigger than what he is getting. From the conventional viewing TV settings.
True.
All right. So if the brand fancy NTA online, all right, on the digital platform, he may actually devote so much money, thinking that this is where the young people are gathering. Normally, the young people, for instance, are not gathering watching NTA anymore, for instance, but the young people are getting information from the NTA digital. So the NTA, instead of losing, they will be making so much money. All right, you know that from the newspaper, apart from the conventional newspaper, print, daily print, you know that heavily all Nigerian newspapers have a very huge following in the digital world. All right, so instead of the brand considering scaling down their budget, they will be scaling it up, knowing full well that yes, they will still need some attention, they will still need to catch some people on the conventional way, okay, by viewing TV, and they will still need to go to the digital and put so much fun there, where at the end of the day they will extract a lot of values. However, there is also a downside to that.
Okay.
Because unlike the physical world, that you could gather people and they could give you their feedback and you get back and correct it, you may not be able to, the brands are unable to actually dictate how these consumers who are gathered on the digital platform behaves. Okay, if a consumer is dissatisfied, he expresses it immediately. Immediately, and it doesn't express it to you. He expresses it to the larger world.
How do brand managers, for example, or brand executives or directors begin to position themselves in terms of strategy to manage a lot of these kinds of social media onslaught? Because you realize that everybody seems to be on social media.
Yes.
Even though we have over 9 billion people, 7 or 9 billion people in the world, 7 billion thereabout, yet we know we have a very good number of that population on social media platforms and online platforms. That itself should be able to be a major concern for a lot of those organizations out there, to place brand managers who will obviously at any given point in time being able to, you know, find out some of these complaints and then address that immediately, and also request that the complainant is able to still get back to the people to say, okay, this so much has been done and so much. So what exactly are a lot of companies themselves? Because to me it looks like most organizations, small and large, don't seem to have a department that actually addresses these issues.
Now, it's beyond department. It's beyond having a customer service unit. It's beyond having a technology that could address some of these things. First, what organizations need to do? First, create a product. That, like I said earlier, a brand or a product is like a human being. All right? It can never be 100% perfect.
Okay.
Now, don't let your imperfection greater than your perfection. That's true. All right? Let your perfection, let a lot of people build a brand that a lot of people can come fighting for you without you soliciting their support.
Oh, fantastic.
All right.
Now, you know what? Before you conclude on your talk, we're going to go on a short break, and I want us to continue, especially on this, because this is very interesting. You've just mentioned a lot of key words that I think we need to be able to even further expatiate on. Well, viewers, please stay tuned. This conversation will continue after the short break.
Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Entel 4G.
Entel. Live more.
All right, thank you if you just joined us. I'm in the studio with Mr. Goddie Ofose, and we're looking at the topic brands and brands management in the digital age. And before we went to the break, Mr. Goddie, you were talking about there is a need for brands, or how do you put it?
There is a need for brands to make their perfection bigger than or more than their imperfection.
Okay, that's true.
All right.
Okay.
Then two, you need to I mean, that was the first thought. The second thought is that a brand, like a human being, cannot be liked by all.
True. The emotional component,
yes,
is very important as a strategic
address. You must address your
address.
market audience. You must address your audience. Know that these are your audience. You cannot be matter to everybody. There is absolutely no need to create a very sophisticated customer service unit, because at the end of the day, if you have like about 100 calls in a day complaining about your product, and I know some, I don't want to mention them, I know some organizations where I had a problem with. I mean, I made my cable TV subscription and from that bank, and at the end of the day, they didn't remit the money too, because I called the cable TV, said they have not sent the money. And I called the bank, and the bank said, yes, that money didn't go through, but I need to wait. All right? I need to wait for 3 days or 24 hours. For 24 hours. Okay? I called. The following day, I called again. That they are doing something about it. They want to scale it. You have seen the problem. You have understood that this money, this transaction didn't go through, which you have communicated to me, right? But at the end of the day, why can't you solve it? Why are you going to escalate it to your superior for what you have seen? Now, you are telling me, a customer service is telling me that it's not their job to do that. Now, why are you a customer service if you cannot resolve my complaint? You understand? So, most times, organizations Brands just have a customer service unit for.
Okay, I see your point.
So at the end of the day, you don't really need that, because if you make your products watertight, if you understand your audience and give them what they want, you have less complaints. That's why I keep saying that companies shouldn't accept. You see, just like politicians, like I said, brands is human being.
Yes. Brands
is me. How do you perceive me in the media? Perhaps if you have been someone that lacks credibility, you will invite me here. True. We have a lot of brand journalists in this country who have reported brand before me. They may not get the courts to be here.
True.
All right?
True.
So, just like politicians, a politician that knows his onion doesn't need to have a strong media team. You don't need all of that.
But it's still important in terms of communication.
No, that's what I'm saying. A customer service is important. All right? You could do that. But when you have a strong media team in every state, you don't need that. That means you are trying to cover your tracks. Your imperfection is greater than your perfection.
Perfection. Okay. But what's the role of media management, especially in brand perception?
Of course, media plays a very important role. At the end of the day, even the digital age that you're talking about is a media platform.
True.
Right?
True. That's true.
Yes. Yes. It's a media.
A lot
platform.
of people just seem to.
No. It's not just.
It's new media, actually.
It's not. A lot of people
media.
think it's an internet, it's a social media, but it's a media. It's a major component of the media ecosystem. All right. So whatever any communications you want to do, you need to communicate it. You are doing a promotions, you need to let people understand. That's the importance of the media. It's a vehicle that takes you from here to Aba. All right. Every brand product, in fact, as a matter of fact, you know, we get to mix some of these things up. You know, product is like a child, okay, who has been put to bed. He has started to grow, become a child. He start to crawl, he start to walk, he start to run, gets to school. All right, gets to school. At the end of the day, he gets to school further and becomes a professor. He becomes a brand. That's when you can refer to Wole Soyinka. That's when you can refer to Olusegun Obasanjo.
That's true.
It's become a brand. It's become something that without you thinking about it. But if it's a product, you can always think about it. There are so many in the marketplace, but there are few brands in the marketplace.
Wow.
Where you can just walk into. I mean, a lot of people go to supermarkets and come back with a lot of items, unplanned items. But there are some items that you need to put in your shopping list.
Yes,
and
that I'm getting this particular brand, this particular brands. Okay.
So you may not always write.
How long does it take you to be able to create a product to a point where
it's a cycle.
It's on a shopping list?
It's a cycle. It doesn't have a specific time. It depends. Again, it depends on the investment. All right. We have seen, especially the telecom brands, the telecom service brand, have defied the product cycle of a brand from a product to a brand level.
True.
Again, because we have been deprived of telecommunication for years.
True.
And the moment they came, we embraced them with both sides of our. I mean, before you cannot be known in a society, in a small community, and you call yourself a national brand. Anyway, there are some local brands, there are some native brands, because native brand is different from local brand. And those specifications apply more in a developed market like the US, the UK, where a county, people who live in that country may never live away from that country. Whatever you make, whatever kind of pizza that you make, that's what they know.
That's true. Now, when you look at this aspect of brand and branding, you're oftentimes tempted to imagine the fact that companies themselves must begin to take much more strategic position, especially with the direction of the policy for them, so to speak. Do you see that as a recommendation, especially in this age, especially for a lot of small businesses in particular?
Of course. I keep saying that we keep complaining about advertising budget in Nigeria. 53 million population like South Africa has, in terms of advertising budget per annum, it's far higher. The brands invest more. Okay, the brands in South Africa pay more, invest more. Don't forget that the pay TV that becomes a giant multinational, sub-Saharan pay TV in Africa now started as an SME in South Africa.
Wow. So
you cannot have a few multinationals who patronize advertising agencies, who patronize advertising in Nigeria to give you what 1,000 SMEs, viable SMEs, could do.
That's true. That's true.
You understand?
Okay.
And that is a function of government policy. How is our government, all right, patronizing the SMEs? What are the policy created for them? But when you look at in Nigeria, is that the policy created for a multinational is the same world that you want an SME to operate from. The finance facilities in the bank are equally the same that you are giving a multinational. That's what you want an SME. How do you want an SME because
to even become a brand?
So, no, to even have a viable product in the first place.
First place, yes.
Because you need to power is gen with diesel. You must see, because you must, when you are starting a business in Nigeria, you must completely zero your mind off public power supply. So at the end of the day, how can an SME, break even in that system? So it is a very difficult policy of government. Now you'll be hearing about ease of doing business. Is it applicable to an SME? A small bakery in Agege. I went to France and I said I'm not coming back. So I decided to work in a pizza hut in Nice, in Cannes, in Nice, south of France. And this pizza company only service a locality like from Amadu Bello Way to Adetukumba Demola. It didn't go past that.
Beyond that.
It didn't go beyond that. And it was effective. And everyone in that locality that want to eat pizza, call on that one. There is a national pizza company not where nobody cares about. All right? So at the end of the day, a business could work like that. But today, set up a small pizza hut in, just don't consider entire Victoria Island. Just say 3 streets. Whether you get it. Even if you can even, before you, if the rent situation will even drive you away. So at the end of the day, Nigerian government don't have a very viable option for SMEs to grow. And that's why our advertising budget will continue to nosedive. Because even the multinationals are beginning to look the other way around. All right? The only areas that are even complementing what we are doing right now are the banks and the telecom. Because the FMCGs, the economy is not favorable to them. The consuming power, the consumer's ability to purchase.
Purchasing power of the consumer is obviously
low.
Quite low.
It's low. So at the end of the day, next year you may actually have something worse in terms of how much a company spend in advertising. And perhaps that is why the government do not really care about what is going on in that sector.
Well, on that note, rather quite a sad one, but we believe there is hope at the end of the tunnel as much as we are going. But at this point, we're going to have to wrap up this conversation. I want to say a big thank you very much for being on the show. We hope that in the future, when we extend this invitation, you will give us the same honor. Thank you very much. Viewers, there's so much we can take on this week's edition of our interview series. Please stay tuned. Business Matters continues after this moment. As you've heard it, viewers, it's important for you to build a brand from the product level, and it takes a lot of time and investment. How you are able to create an emotional attachment to your customer or your audience will help you determine how successful you can become as a business interest. Businesses these days are operating in a digital space, but doesn't mean that they cannot take advantage of all of the opportunities that the digital world has to offer. Please follow us on all our social media platforms. This is much we can bring to you on this week's edition. My name remains Stephen Ipalobo Lawson. Until I come here again, bye-bye for now.